Ryan stared out of the small window of the starship as the fiery planet Pyros grew larger. Its surface glowed red and orange, rivers of molten lava carving paths through jagged mountains. The planet seemed alive, and its heat pressed even against the protective shields of the ship. Ryan felt a thrill in his chest. Humans had never landed here before, but they were explorers, and danger was part of the journey. Beside him, his teammate Mara checked the instruments. Her hands moved quickly over the console, adjusting the landing trajectory. "The heat levels are higher than we expected," she said. Her voice was steady, but Ryan saw the faint worry in her eyes. "The shields will hold, but we need to be careful when we step outside." Ryan nodded. He had prepared for this. Years of training, years of studying alien worlds, and the stories of legendary explorers had led him to this moment. The mission was simple in description but nearly impossible in practice: locate the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire, a place spoken of in myths and old records. It was said to hold secrets and energy beyond imagination. Many civilizations had tried to find it, but none had returned. "Do you think the Zytherans will be here?" Mara asked, breaking the silence. The Zytherans were a distant alien race known for intelligence and strategy. They had been searching for the chamber for decades. Ryan shrugged. "If they are, we will face them. Humans have survived worse than fire." He smiled, more to steady himself than to reassure Mara. The ship's engines roared as it descended. Ryan felt the vibrations through his boots. The surface of Pyros was rough and uneven, glowing rivers of lava cutting across mountains like liquid fire. He marveled at the sight. Most aliens avoided planets like this because the conditions were deadly. Only humans had the courage and adaptability to try. Finally, the ship landed on a flat plateau. The shields hummed as they absorbed the heat. Ryan and Mara checked their gear. Their suits were equipped with cooling systems and reinforced materials. Every step outside would be dangerous, but they were ready. Stepping onto the ground, Ryan felt the heat radiating through the suit. The air shimmered, not from oxygen but from pure energy. Lava moved like slow rivers of liquid light, and sharp volcanic rocks dotted the landscape. The sky above was thick with smoke and ash, turning the sun into a dull orange ball. "Keep your eyes open," Ryan said. "The chamber won't be easy to find, and the planet itself is alive with challenges." They began walking, moving carefully over the hardened lava. Every step required balance and attention. Small tremors shook the ground occasionally, making the lava ripple. Ryan felt excitement mixed with caution. He loved exploring dangerous places because it made every discovery feel earned. Hours passed, and the landscape became more extreme. The lava rivers widened, cutting off easy paths. Ryan noticed strange formations in the rock, almost like ancient statues. He wondered if these were natural, or if some previous explorers or even the chamber's creators had left signs. Suddenly, Mara pointed ahead. "Look," she said. "That ridge. It seems like someone, or something, has shaped it." Ryan squinted. The ridge formed an arch over a small canyon, and the stones seemed polished, as if fire had carved them into place. He felt a chill of anticipation. Could this be the first clue to the chamber? Humans had a way of seeing possibilities where others saw danger. They approached carefully, stepping around cracks in the lava. The heat was intense, and even with the suit, it was exhausting. Yet, they pressed on. They had to. The chamber was rumored to be worth more than gold, more than weapons, more than any technology they had ever known. It held knowledge that could change civilizations. As they reached the arch, a shadow moved across the lava below. Ryan froze. "Did you see that?" he whispered. Mara nodded. "I think it's alive." From the molten ground, a creature emerged. It was massive, with scales that shimmered like the lava itself. Its eyes glowed like coals, and it moved with surprising speed. Ryan realized that this planet did not just challenge humans with heat, it had its own defenders. The creature roared, and the sound vibrated through the ground. Ryan took a deep breath and remembered his training. Humans were known not just for strength but for strategy. He grabbed a scanner and began mapping the creature's movements. Mara stayed behind him, adjusting the suit's energy output to keep them safe. After minutes that felt like hours, Ryan saw a pattern. The creature paused after a few steps, then turned back. Using the terrain, he led it toward a narrow path along the lava river. Humans could be clever when danger was near. He waited until the creature was focused, then jumped over a ridge, slipping through a small opening the creature could not reach. Mara followed, and the creature stopped, roaring in frustration. They had survived the first challenge. Breathing hard, Ryan looked at the horizon. The chamber was out there somewhere, hidden in this fiery world. But he knew that surviving the journey would take all their skill, all their courage, and all the qualities that made humans exceptional. Humans were fragile in some ways, but in others, they were unstoppable. As they moved forward, Ryan felt a sense of pride. This was what humans did. They faced impossible worlds, overcame danger with intelligence and teamwork, and reached places others could not. He did not know what awaited in the next canyon or beyond the rivers of fire. But he knew one thing: humans had arrived on Pyros, and they were ready to claim the Emperor's chamber of eternal fire. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the molten landscape. Ryan and Mara pressed on, their steps echoing against the rocks. Behind them, the starship hummed, waiting for them to return. Ahead, the unknown waited, dangerous and full of promise. Humans had a way of turning even the most hostile worlds into a challenge they could conquer. Ryan smiled. This was only the beginning. The sun of Pyros hung low in the orange sky as Ryan and Mara carefully navigated the jagged lava plains. The ground radiated heat, and even through their suits, the warmth pressed against their bodies like a living force. Each step was a test of balance and attention. The rivers of molten rock flowed nearby, bright and dangerous, and the air shimmered with energy. Ryan scanned the landscape with a handheld device that measured heat intensity and volcanic movement. "We need to find a stable path," he said. "These rivers can change without warning." Mara adjusted her visor and pointed toward a plateau. "That ridge looks solid. If we can reach it, we might get a better view of the terrain." They began climbing over jagged rocks and hardened lava, carefully avoiding cracks that could give way. Pyros was a world of constant danger, but humans were designed to adapt. They moved with focus, not letting fear control them. Each small success gave them confidence. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. A hidden lava channel erupted nearby, sending a wave of molten rock toward their path. Ryan jumped back, pulling Mara with him. The heat was intense, almost unbearable, but the suits absorbed the worst of it. Ryan realized they needed a plan. Humans did not panic in danger. They analyzed, adapted, and acted. He scanned the lava flow and saw a fallen ridge that could act as a bridge. The gap was wide, and the heat radiated from every side. "We can swing across," Ryan said, noticing a strong vine-like plant growing from a crevice. "It won't be easy, but it will work." Mara looked uncertain, but she trusted Ryan's judgment. Humans had survived challenges that no one else could. They secured the vine to a sturdy rock and tested its strength. It held. Ryan swung first, landing safely on the other side. Mara followed, gripping tightly and leaping with precise timing. They both made it across without injury. As they caught their breath, Ryan looked back at the lava river. The heat and danger had been immense, but their minds and teamwork had carried them through. Even the Zytherans, Ryan thought, would struggle in such conditions. Humans could think quickly, improvise, and take risks that other races might avoid. They continued along the ridge, which offered a clearer view of the surrounding area. Jagged mountains rose in the distance, and the rivers of fire wound around valleys like veins of molten light. In the distance, a dark shape moved against the lava glow. Ryan squinted. "Something is coming," he said, raising his scanner. It was a creature unlike anything they had seen. Its body was long and armored with scales that reflected the fire around it. Its eyes glowed like burning embers, and it moved swiftly over the molten terrain. Ryan realized that Pyros had life adapted to extreme heat. Humans were not just fighting the planet, they were encountering its defenders. The creature paused and sniffed the air, sensing them. Ryan knew they could not outrun it in the open. Humans were clever, but the landscape was difficult. He gestured to Mara to follow him down a narrow path toward a canyon. The creature followed, but its bulk made it slower in the confined space. Ryan and Mara used every skill they had learned. They knew the creature would follow patterns, and humans were masters at predicting movement. They led it over a series of small ridges, forcing it to pause and hesitate. The humans' agility and intelligence allowed them to gain distance. The creature eventually returned to the open plain, unable to reach them in the narrow canyon. Breathing heavily, Mara smiled. "I did not think we could get past that." Ryan nodded. "Humans can survive when others would fail. We see solutions where others see only danger." As they moved deeper into the canyon, Ryan noticed strange markings on the rocks. Lines and symbols had been etched into the hardened lava. He crouched to examine them. "These might be directions or warnings," he said. "Someone or something left them for travelers." Mara touched the symbols carefully. "It looks like they glow when the heat hits them," she observed. "Maybe they are meant to guide people who can read them." Ryan studied the markings and realized they formed a path through the canyon. The ancient designers of Pyros had created guidance for those who could survive the heat. Humans had the curiosity and patience to interpret it, a skill that many alien races lacked. Following the glowing symbols, they reached a narrow ledge above a river of molten rock. The ledge was the only way forward, and it was barely wide enough for one person at a time. The heat was intense, and the surface was slick with volcanic residue. Ryan took the lead, testing each step before committing his weight. Mara followed closely. Halfway across, the ledge trembled. A small tremor shook the canyon, and rocks fell into the lava below. Ryan froze and then leaped to a more stable section. Mara hesitated for a moment but then trusted his judgment and moved quickly. They reached the other side safely. Ryan allowed himself a moment to appreciate the human spirit. Even in the harshest conditions, humans could remain calm, plan carefully, and act decisively. The Zytherans might be stronger or faster in other worlds, but humans thrived where others would fail. As they continued, the temperature rose even further. The lava rivers glowed brighter, and steam hissed from the cracks in the ground. Ryan's suit beeped warnings, but it also showed that they were still within safe limits. He smiled. Humans had invented tools to survive extremes, and they had the courage to use them. Suddenly, the path split. One route led toward a dark cavern, the other toward an open plateau above a river of molten rock. Ryan studied the terrain. The cavern seemed safer from heat but could hold hidden dangers. The plateau offered a direct view but exposed them to any creature nearby. "Which way?" Mara asked. Ryan paused. Humans were good at weighing risk and making choices. He chose the cavern. It offered cover and a chance to rest, while still allowing them to study the planet. Humans were careful, but they did not shy away from danger. Inside the cavern, the heat was slightly less intense. Steam rose from cracks, and the walls glowed with veins of molten minerals. Ryan and Mara paused to hydrate and check their equipment. The first challenge of Pyros had been survived. The rivers of lava, the tremors, and the living creature had tested them. Humans had adapted, solved problems, and moved forward. Ryan looked at the glowing walls. The chamber was out there somewhere, hidden in this extreme world. The first challenge had proven one thing: humans could face anything and survive. The next steps would be harder, but they were ready. Humans were explorers, inventors, and survivors. They had come to Pyros for a reason, and nothing would stop them from reaching the Emperor's chamber of eternal fire. Ryan felt excitement rising. This was only the beginning. The planet had more trials ahead, more creatures, more dangers. But humans had one thing no other species could match: the ability to turn challenges into opportunity, danger into adventure, and fire into a path forward. With renewed determination, Ryan and Mara moved deeper into the cavern. Every step brought them closer to the chamber and closer to the legacy they were meant to discover. Humans had arrived on Pyros, and they would not leave until they uncovered its secrets. The sun of Pyros hung low in the orange sky as Ryan and Mara carefully navigated the jagged lava plains. The ground radiated heat, and even through their suits, the warmth pressed against their bodies like a living force. Each step was a test of balance and attention. The rivers of molten rock flowed nearby, bright and dangerous, and the air shimmered with energy. Ryan scanned the landscape with a handheld device that measured heat intensity and volcanic movement. "We need to find a stable path," he said. "These rivers can change without warning." Mara adjusted her visor and pointed toward a plateau. "That ridge looks solid. If we can reach it, we might get a better view of the terrain." They began climbing over jagged rocks and hardened lava, carefully avoiding cracks that could give way. Pyros was a world of constant danger, but humans were designed to adapt. They moved with focus, not letting fear control them. Each small success gave them confidence. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. A hidden lava channel erupted nearby, sending a wave of molten rock toward their path. Ryan jumped back, pulling Mara with him. The heat was intense, almost unbearable, but the suits absorbed the worst of it. Ryan realized they needed a plan. Humans did not panic in danger: they analyzed, adapted, and acted. He scanned the lava flow and saw a fallen ridge that could act as a bridge. The gap was wide, and the heat radiated from every side. "We can swing across," Ryan said, noticing a strong vine-like plant growing from a crevice. "It won't be easy, but it will work." Mara looked uncertain, but she trusted Ryan's judgment. Humans had survived challenges that no one else could. They secured the vine to a sturdy rock and tested its strength. It held. Ryan swung first, landing safely on the other side. Mara followed, gripping tightly and leaping with precise timing. They both made it across without injury. As they caught their breath, Ryan looked back at the lava river. The heat and danger had been immense, but their minds and teamwork had carried them through. Even the Zytherans, Ryan thought, would struggle in such conditions. Humans could think quickly, improvise, and take risks that other races might avoid. They continued along the ridge, which offered a clearer view of the surrounding area. Jagged mountains rose in the distance, and the rivers of fire wound around valleys like veins of molten light. In the distance, a dark shape moved against the lava glow. Ryan squinted. "Something is coming," he said, raising his scanner. It was a creature unlike anything they had seen. Its body was long and armored with scales that reflected the fire around it. Its eyes glowed like burning embers, and it moved swiftly over the molten terrain. Ryan realized that Pyros had life adapted to extreme heat. Humans were not just fighting the planet, they were encountering its defenders. The creature paused and sniffed the air, sensing them. Ryan knew they could not outrun it in the open. Humans were clever, but the landscape was difficult. He gestured to Mara to follow him down a narrow path toward a canyon. The creature followed, but its bulk made it slower in the confined space. Ryan and Mara used every skill they had learned. They knew the creature would follow patterns, and humans were masters at predicting movement. They led it over a series of small ridges, forcing it to pause and hesitate. The humans' agility and intelligence allowed them to gain distance. The creature eventually returned to the open plain, unable to reach them in the narrow canyon. Breathing heavily, Mara smiled. "I did not think we could get past that." Ryan nodded. "Humans can survive when others would fail. We see solutions where others see only danger." As they moved deeper into the canyon, Ryan noticed strange markings on the rocks. Lines and symbols had been etched into the hardened lava. He crouched to examine them. "These might be directions or warnings," he said. "Someone or something left them for travelers." Mara touched the symbols carefully. "It looks like they glow when the heat hits them," she observed. "Maybe they are meant to guide people who can read them." Ryan studied the markings and realized they formed a path through the canyon. The ancient designers of Pyros had created guidance for those who could survive the heat. Humans had the curiosity and patience to interpret it, a skill that many alien races lacked. Following the glowing symbols, they reached a narrow ledge above a river of molten rock. The ledge was the only way forward, and it was barely wide enough for one person at a time. The heat was intense, and the surface was slick with volcanic residue. Ryan took the lead, testing each step before committing his weight. Mara followed closely. Halfway across, the ledge trembled. A small tremor shook the canyon, and rocks fell into the lava below. Ryan froze and then leaped to a more stable section. Mara hesitated for a moment but then trusted his judgment and moved quickly. They reached the other side safely. Ryan allowed himself a moment to appreciate the human spirit. Even in the harshest conditions, humans could remain calm, plan carefully, and act decisively. The Zytherans might be stronger or faster in other worlds, but humans thrived where others would fail. As they continued, the temperature rose even further. The lava rivers glowed brighter, and steam hissed from the cracks in the ground. Ryan's suit beeped warnings, but it also showed that they were still within safe limits. He smiled. Humans had invented tools to survive extremes, and they had the courage to use them. Suddenly, the path split. One route led toward a dark cavern, the other toward an open plateau above a river of molten rock. Ryan studied the terrain. The cavern seemed safer from heat but could hold hidden dangers. The plateau offered a direct view but exposed them to any creature nearby. "Which way?" Mara asked. Ryan paused. Humans were good at weighing risk and making choices. He chose the cavern. It offered cover and a chance to rest, while still allowing them to study the planet. Humans were careful, but they did not shy away from danger. Inside the cavern, the heat was slightly less intense. Steam rose from cracks, and the walls glowed with veins of molten minerals. Ryan and Mara paused to hydrate and check their equipment. The first challenge of Pyros had been survived. The rivers of lava, the tremors, and the living creature had tested them. Humans had adapted, solved problems, and moved forward. Ryan looked at the glowing walls. The chamber was out there somewhere, hidden in this extreme world. The first challenge had proven one thing: humans could face anything and survive. The next steps would be harder, but they were ready. Humans were explorers, inventors, and survivors. They had come to Pyros for a reason, and nothing would stop them from reaching the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire. Ryan felt excitement rising. This was only the beginning. The planet had more trials ahead, more creatures, more dangers. But humans had one thing no other species could match: the ability to turn challenges into opportunity, danger into adventure, and fire into a path forward. With renewed determination, Ryan and Mara moved deeper into the cavern. Every step brought them closer to the chamber and closer to the legacy they were meant to discover. Humans had arrived on Pyros, and they would not leave until they uncovered its secrets. Ryan and Mara moved cautiously through the glowing cavern. The walls pulsed with heat, and strange crystals reflected light like small stars. The air was thick, and each breath reminded them that Pyros was alive with energy. Humans were known to survive where others could not, and Ryan felt that survival was not just about strength, but about observation and intelligence. They followed the faint trail of glowing symbols carved into the rocks. The symbols seemed older than anything Ryan had seen. He wondered if the chamber's creators had intended them to guide worthy explorers. The deeper they went, the more the heat increased. The cavern opened into a larger space, a hall that seemed carved out of molten stone, yet cooled enough to walk suddenly. A deep rumble echoed through the hall. The ground shook beneath their feet. Ryan and Mara froze, scanning the shadows. From the darkness, a massive shape emerged. It was a guardian, a machine of incredible size and strength. Its body was made of dark metal with veins of glowing magma running along its surface. Its eyes blazed with red light, scanning the cavern. The guardian moved with precision, its heavy footsteps shaking the walls. This was no ordinary machine. It was ancient, but it was alive in its purpose. Ryan whispered to Mara, "We need to observe it first. Humans can solve problems by thinking, not just fighting." The guardian raised its arms, revealing tools and weapons that could crush a human instantly. It seemed to respond to their presence, calculating their intentions. Mara held her breath, but Ryan remained calm. He remembered stories of explorers who had faced guardians like this in myths. The key was observation and strategy. They stepped slowly, careful not to trigger any sudden movements. Ryan noticed patterns in its steps. The guardian paused for a moment, then scanned another direction. Timing was everything. "We can move when it shifts," Ryan whispered. "Watch how it balances. If we stay just out of its main path, we can pass." Mara nodded, following his lead. Humans had a unique ability to adapt to moving challenges. Other species might panic or react in predictable ways, but humans used creativity and timing. Ryan studied the Guardian's movements and found a small gap near a wall where they could slip through. The Guardian's head turned slightly, its glowing eyes narrowing. Ryan froze, holding his breath. He realized that the machine could sense more than movement. It could detect patterns of thought, of intent. Humans had to be clever, and they were. With careful coordination, Ryan and Mara moved slowly along the wall, keeping just out of reach. The Guardian followed their progress with calculated steps, but it could not reach the narrow space. Ryan signaled Mara to move faster, and together they slipped into a hidden side passage. The passage was narrow and winding, cutting through the rock like a natural tunnel. The Guardian did not follow. Ryan felt a surge of relief. Humans had survived the first true obstacle. It was not brute strength that had saved them, but observation, patience, and ingenuity. After several minutes, they reached a small chamber filled with glowing fire crystals. The heat was intense but manageable with their suits. The crystals illuminated the room, reflecting off the walls in patterns that seemed almost intentional. Ryan studied them carefully. "These crystals might be part of the chamber's defense system," he said. "Or they could mark the next path." Mara moved closer to one of the larger crystals. As she touched it, the crystal shifted, revealing a small doorway hidden behind it. Ryan's eyes widened. Humans had a way of noticing details that others often missed. This doorway might lead closer to the chamber. Ryan and Mara stepped through and entered a narrow corridor. The heat decreased slightly, and the air felt lighter. Yet, Ryan remained alert. The Guardian had been only the first true obstacle. The chamber itself could hold more challenges, and humans were known for not giving up when faced with danger. As they moved, they noticed markings on the walls. These were more detailed than the previous symbols. They depicted trials of courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Ryan smiled. Humans had all three qualities in abundance. The symbols seemed to acknowledge those who could read and understand them. Suddenly, the corridor widened into another vast chamber. At its center was a pedestal surrounded by a shallow pool of glowing lava. On the pedestal rested a crystal, larger than anything they had seen before. Its light pulsed like a heartbeat. Ryan approached slowly, examining the surroundings. "This must be part of the test," he said. The Guardian was only the beginning. "Now we face the trial of approach." Mara studied the lava pool. "It looks impossible to cross," she said. Ryan nodded. Humans had a way of solving impossible problems. He observed the edges of the pool and noticed narrow stone paths that seemed almost invisible under the glowing lava. Timing and balance would be crucial. He stepped carefully onto the first stone. It was stable. Mara followed, placing her foot with precision. They moved slowly, testing each step before committing their weight. The heat radiated around them, and the light from the crystal reflected off the lava, creating patterns that could distract or confuse. Halfway across, a small tremor shook the chamber. Lava splashed around them, but the stones held firm. Ryan adjusted his balance, guiding Mara with careful signals. Humans were known for endurance and coordination, and this was a perfect example. Finally, they reached the pedestal. The crystal pulsed brightly, almost as if acknowledging their success. Ryan extended his hand to touch it. The crystal's surface was warm but not harmful. He realized that the chamber was not just a test of strength, it was a test of intelligence, courage, and trust. Humans had all three qualities. As they studied the crystal, the Guardian's rumble echoed faintly in the distance. It had returned to its original position, waiting for the next intruder. Ryan smiled. Humans could face challenges, adapt, and move forward where others would fail. The first true Guardian had been overcome, and the path to the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire was opening before them. Mara looked at Ryan. "Do you think we will face more Guardians?" Ryan nodded. "Most likely. But humans have a way of solving problems that others do not. We use our minds, our teamwork, and our courage. That is why we survive where others cannot." They left the chamber carefully, moving along the narrow corridor and back into the winding tunnels. Each step reminded them that Pyros was alive and watching. The Guardian had been only the first real test, but it had proven a point: humans were capable of more than brute strength. They could think, adapt, and overcome. As they emerged into another glowing cavern, Ryan felt a surge of determination. The Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire was still ahead, but humans had already proven themselves worthy. They had faced the first Guardian, survived the lava, and navigated the dangerous passages. The challenges of Pyros were many, but humans had the qualities needed to succeed. Ryan looked at Mara. "We are ready for whatever comes next. Pyros cannot defeat us. The chamber is waiting, and humans will reach it." Mara smiled, sharing his confidence. Humans had arrived on Pyros, and they would not leave until the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire revealed its secrets. The first Guardian was behind them, and ahead lay even greater trials, each designed to test every skill a human possessed. Ryan and Mara emerged from the winding tunnels into a vast open valley. The heat of Pyros was still intense, but the sky above was clearer, allowing the light of distant suns to illuminate the molten rivers below. The valley was wide, and jagged rocks formed natural barriers. Every step forward reminded them that danger could come from any direction. Ryan checked their instruments. "We are getting closer to the chamber," he said. "The energy readings are stronger here." Mara scanned the horizon with her visor. "Ryan, look over there," she said. Movement. Multiple figures. "I think it is the Zytherans." Ryan's jaw tightened. The Zytherans had been following the humans' progress for some time. They were intelligent and strategic, capable of anticipating human actions. But humans had qualities that few other species could match: imagination, unpredictability, and courage. The Zytherans appeared on a ridge above the valley, their sleek armor reflecting the fiery glow of the rivers. They carried advanced scanning devices and weapons. Ryan estimated that if they wanted to confront them, it would be a dangerous fight. but he knew humans could find solutions even when the odds seemed impossible. "We cannot let them reach the chamber first," Ryan said. "We need to outsmart them." Mara nodded. "What's the plan?" Ryan surveyed the valley. There were natural pathways, but many led across unstable lava fields. He noticed a narrow ridge that curved around the main lava river, partially hidden by shadows. "We move along the ridge," he said. "It will give us cover and a chance to stay ahead of them. They will not anticipate this path." Carefully, they began moving along the ridge. The heat radiated from the lava below, but their suits held steady. Each step required balance and attention. The Zytherans noticed their movement and started descending from the ridge above, attempting to intercept them. Ryan paused and signaled Mara. "We need to slow them down without direct confrontation. Use the terrain." Mara spotted a loose rock field above the path. She and Ryan dislodged several boulders, sending them rolling down the slope. The rocks created barriers and forced the Zytherans to take longer routes. Humans used their knowledge of terrain and timing to control the environment, something the aliens did not expect. The Zytherans adapted quickly, but humans were unpredictable. Ryan and Mara used narrow paths, sudden changes of direction, and quick leaps over molten cracks to stay ahead. Every move was calculated, but flexible. The aliens tried to match them, but the humans' creativity gave them an edge. Suddenly, the ground beneath Ryan trembled. A small eruption sent a wave of lava toward the path. Ryan grabbed Mara's hand and pulled her to safety behind a rock outcrop. The Zytherans hesitated, unsure how to react to the sudden hazard. Humans had the ability to turn danger into advantage. Ryan realized they could use this to slow their pursuers even more. "We need to keep moving," Ryan said. "The chamber is close, but we cannot rush recklessly." They continued along the ridge, reaching a narrow canyon that led to a higher plateau. The Zytherans followed but had to split into smaller groups to navigate the treacherous terrain. Ryan smiled. Humans could coordinate better in such environments. Their teamwork allowed them to stay ahead without confrontation. As they climbed, they noticed more markings on the rocks. These were ancient symbols, glowing faintly in the heat. Ryan examined them. "These symbols might indicate a hidden path or a warning," he said. "Humans can interpret them. Zytherans might not understand." Mara followed his lead, reading the symbols and guiding them along a path that avoided unstable lava and hidden traps. Humans had an advantage in observation and analysis. While the Zytherans relied on technology, Ryan and Mara relied on skill and intuition. The aliens noticed the detour but were confused. Ryan realized they could use the canyon's natural obstacles to their advantage. They reached a point where the canyon narrowed, forcing the Zytherans to approach in a single line. Ryan and Mara waited, hidden behind a rock overhang. When the Zytherans began to advance, Ryan triggered a controlled rock slide. Loose stones tumbled down, blocking the path. The aliens struggled to find a safe route and slowed significantly. Ryan whispered, "Now. Move." They dashed along a side passage that opened onto the plateau. The plateau overlooked a river of glowing lava, with a narrow bridge leading to a distant cavern. Ryan studied the terrain. This bridge was the only safe passage forward. They needed to cross quickly before the Zytherans recovered. Mara looked nervous. "It is narrow and high. One mistake could be deadly." Ryan smiled. Humans could remain calm under pressure. "Trust me. We have made it this far. We can do this." Step by step, they crossed the bridge, moving with precision and coordination. The heat radiated from below, but they ignored it, focusing on balance and timing. Halfway across, a small tremor shook the bridge, but Ryan held Mara steady. Humans had endurance and focus that allowed them to overcome fear. Finally, they reached the other side. The plateau was stable, and they could see the entrance to a cavern in the distance. The Zytherans were still below, struggling to navigate the bridge. Ryan felt a surge of pride. Humans had outsmarted an advanced alien race through observation, teamwork, and quick thinking. "We are ahead," Mara said, catching her breath. "I did not think we could do it." Ryan nodded. "Humans can adapt to challenges that others cannot. We use intelligence and creativity, not just strength. That is why we survive and succeed." As they approached the cavern, Ryan and Mara paused to rest. The valley below was alive with molten rivers and shifting rocks, a reminder of the dangers they had overcome. They had faced natural hazards, the first guardian, and now a skilled alien force. Yet humans had triumphed, proving once again that adaptability and courage were their greatest strengths. Ryan looked at Mara. "The Zytherans will try again, but humans have one advantage they do not expect. We are unpredictable, and we do not give up." Mara smiled, her confidence restored. "Then let's move forward. The chamber is close, and we are ready." Ryan led the way into the cavern. The heat decreased slightly as they moved deeper, but the glow of molten crystals illuminated the walls. Humans had survived extreme conditions, faced dangerous creatures, and outsmarted a superior alien race. Each challenge had proven that human qualities, courage, intelligence, and ingenuity could overcome nearly any obstacle. Ahead, the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire awaited. The path was still filled with unknown trials, but humans had shown that they were capable of facing danger and finding solutions. Ryan felt excitement and determination. The next stage of their journey would test them further, but humans were ready. As they advanced deeper into the cavern, Ryan whispered, "The chamber is out there, and humans will reach it. No obstacle can stop us." Mara followed closely, trusting his judgment. Together, they moved forward, leaving the valley and the struggling Zytherans behind. Humans had survived the alien obstacle, and their path to the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire was opening. The trials of Pyros had tested them, but humans had proven that they could adapt, think, and overcome any challenge. Ryan and Mara emerged from the cavern into a wide open plain. The heat of Pyros was still strong, but the air was clearer, and the molten rivers below reflected the light of distant suns in golden streaks. The terrain stretched endlessly, with jagged mountains rising in the distance and small lava streams cutting through valleys like glowing veins. Ryan checked the scanner. The energy readings were higher here. "We are very close," he said. "The chamber must be nearby." Mara wiped sweat from her brow. "After all we have faced, I hope the chamber is worth it." Ryan smiled. Humans had a way of persevering even when the goal seemed distant. The first guardian, the lava rivers, and the Zytherans had tested them, but humans were known for determination and intelligence. They moved forward, following faint energy traces that the scanner highlighted. The terrain became more extreme. Lava flows created natural walls, and the only paths forward were narrow ridges or steep cliffs. Ryan studied the landscape carefully. "We need to take the narrow ridge along that cliff," he said. "It will lead us toward the mountains." They began the careful climb. The ridge was barely wide enough for one person, and the heat radiated from the rocks below. Ryan took the lead, testing each step before committing his weight. Mara followed closely, moving with balance and precision. Humans had a unique ability to adapt to difficult terrain, and their focus allowed them to survive where others could not. As they climbed higher, Ryan noticed faint carvings on the cliff face. Symbols glowed faintly, responding to the heat and light. He crouched to examine them. "These symbols are instructions," he said. "The chamber's creators left them for those who could understand. Humans can read and interpret these signs. Other species might ignore them." Mara studied the carvings. "They seem to mark a path through the mountains," she said. "Look here. This one shows a door hidden behind rocks." Ryan's eyes widened. The chamber might not be just hidden by distance, but by clever design. Humans had the patience and intelligence to solve such puzzles. He mapped the path mentally, noting the safest way forward. They continued along the ridge, carefully following the symbols. The mountains rose higher, and the paths became more treacherous. Small rock slides forced them to move slowly, but their focus never wavered. Humans were known for endurance and caution in extreme conditions, and this was another example. After hours of climbing, they reached a small plateau. In the center of the plateau was a rock formation unlike any other. It was shaped like an arch, and within the arch, the glow of molten crystals illuminated a doorway carved into the rock. Ryan's heart raced. Could this be the entrance to the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire? Mara stepped closer. It looks ancient, she said. The energy readings are very strong here. Ryan approached the doorway and examined the symbols carved around it. They seemed to form a sequence, almost like a code. The entrance is locked by a puzzle, he said. We need to activate it correctly. Mara nodded. Do you think humans can solve it? Ryan smiled. We already have proven that humans can overcome challenges no one else can. This is just another test of intelligence and patience. He studied the symbols carefully. Each one represented a step in a sequence, and some symbols glowed brighter than others. Ryan realized that the pattern involved timing, observation, and logic. He adjusted the symbols by pressing them in a sequence that matched the glowing pattern. As he completed the final step, the doorway shuddered slightly. A low rumble echoed through the mountains, and the rock arch slowly shifted, revealing a hidden passage within. Light from the molten crystals spilled into the open, illuminating the hidden entrance. Ryan turned to Mara. It worked. Humans can read, understand, and solve challenges others cannot. Mara smiled. This is incredible. We found it. They stepped into the hidden passage, the heat from the molten crystals warming the walls. The corridor was narrow but solid, winding deeper into the mountain. As they walked, the energy readings increased. The closer they got, the stronger the sensation of power and knowledge became. Humans had always been explorers, curious and brave. This path was a testament to human courage and intelligence. The passage opened into a larger chamber. The walls were lined with glowing fire crystals, and the floor was polished stone that reflected the light in dazzling patterns. In the center of the room, a massive door pulsed with energy. It was covered in intricate carvings, showing scenes of ancient civilizations, stars, and flowing fire. Ryan approached the door carefully. The carvings seemed to tell a story, showing trials and victories. Humans had a natural curiosity, and Ryan studied every detail. He realized that the door's puzzle was more than just symbols, it required understanding the story of the chamber's creators. Mara examined the carvings beside him. It looks like they respected intelligence, courage, and teamwork, she said. The door will open for those who show these qualities. Ryan nodded. Humans had all three in abundance. He placed his hands on the door and focused on the pattern, thinking through each step carefully. The door responded, shifting slightly, glowing brighter as if acknowledging the human's understanding. Finally, the massive door began to move. It slid open slowly, revealing a corridor bathed in bright, golden light. The energy inside was warm but not dangerous. It pulsed like a heartbeat, welcoming those who had proven their worth. Humans had reached the threshold of the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire. Ryan turned to Mara. We did it. Humans have solved the entrance challenge and earned the right to enter. Mara smiled, her eyes wide with awe. I never imagined anything like this. The chamber must hold incredible power. Ryan nodded. Humans had always sought knowledge and exploration. This chamber represented the culmination of their courage, intelligence, and determination. It was a place designed to test the best and reward those who could overcome the impossible. As they stepped into the corridor, Ryan felt a surge of pride. Humans had faced Pyros' extreme heat, navigated lava rivers, outsmarted the Guardian, and evaded the Zytherans. Now, they had solved the final puzzle to reach the chamber. Each step forward was a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. The corridor led deeper into the mountain, the golden light growing brighter with every step. Ryan realized that the chamber itself might have more trials ahead. Humans had proven they could adapt, solve problems, and survive where others would fail. The Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire was within reach, and humans were ready to claim its secrets. Ryan whispered, "The chamber is ahead, and humans will enter it. No challenge can stop us now." Mara followed closely, sharing his confidence. Together, they moved forward, leaving the entrance behind. Humans had solved the greatest puzzle of Pyros and were ready to face whatever awaited in the heart of the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire. Ryan and Mara stepped into the inner corridor of the chamber. The golden light from the walls glowed warmly, illuminating intricate carvings of stars, fire, and ancient symbols. The air was thick with energy, and Ryan could feel a hum of power vibrating beneath his feet. This was the heart of Pyros, the final threshold before the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire. Mara touched the wall carefully. "It feels alive," she said. "Like the chamber is watching us." Ryan nodded. Humans were known for understanding challenges beyond what appeared obvious. This trial would not be simple. It would test courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Humans were uniquely suited to face it. The corridor widened into a vast hall. At its center, a series of glowing fire pathways stretched across the floor. Lava-like energy flowed beneath the transparent stones, shifting and pulsing. The paths formed a complex maze, and at the far end, a large door glowed with the same golden light as the entrance. Ryan studied the maze. The pathways moved subtly, adjusting like the chambers themselves were alive. One wrong step could plunge them into the flowing fire below. Mara studied it too, noticing patterns in the movement of the paths. "This is a test," Ryan said. "The chamber is challenging our observation and timing. We need to watch carefully before we step forward." They began by stepping on a small stable section. The floor responded, and other paths shifted slightly. Ryan realized that the chamber was reacting to their decisions. Humans could adapt in real time. They observed, adjusted, and moved forward with precision. The first section required careful coordination. Ryan and Mara moved together, timing each step perfectly. The fire paths shifted beneath them, but their focus and patience allowed them to advance. Humans had endurance and the ability to remain calm under pressure. Many other species would have panicked at the shifting floor. As they reached the second section, Ryan noticed a series of symbols along the walls. They glowed faintly, forming a sequence. Mara studied them and pointed out patterns. "These symbols are guiding us. We need to step in sync with the pattern," she said. Ryan nodded. Humans had the ability to interpret subtle clues that others might miss. They adjusted their steps according to the glowing sequence, moving like a single unit. The floor beneath them responded, solidifying as they advanced. Suddenly, a small section of the path collapsed. Ryan reacted quickly, pulling Mara to a safe stone. The chamber tested their reflexes and teamwork. Humans had the ability to make split-second decisions under pressure, a quality unmatched by many other species. They paused briefly to regain their balance. Ryan smiled. "The chamber is challenging us, but humans can think and adapt faster than any obstacle it can create." The next section of the maze introduced another challenge. The fire paths began shifting more rapidly, and the walls projected moving symbols that could confuse them. Ryan realized that rushing would be fatal. They had to rely on observation and patience, two human strengths. Step by step, they moved forward, adjusting to the shifting paths. Each movement required balance, timing, and focus. Humans could coordinate in ways that other species often could not. They advanced steadily, never panicking, always observing. Mara pointed to a section ahead. The paths converge there. We will need to cross together. Ryan agreed. We can do it, but we must trust each other completely. Humans thrived on teamwork. Their ability to synchronize efforts in dangerous situations gave them an edge the chamber could not anticipate. They stepped onto the converging paths, moving in unison. The fire beneath them pulsed faster, reacting to their combined weight and timing. Ryan adjusted his steps carefully, signaling Mara with subtle gestures. Together, they moved forward without faltering. Finally, they reached the last section. A wide gap of flowing fire stretched before them, separating them from the final door. Ryan and Mara studied the patterns in the energy beneath. The stones in the gap formed stepping points, but they moved unpredictably. Ryan whispered, "This is it. One mistake and we fall, but humans are patient and clever. We can cross." Mara nodded. Humans had courage as well as intelligence. They took a deep breath and stepped forward, one at a time, adjusting to the shifting stones. Ryan led the way, observing every movement. Mara followed, trusting his judgment. Step by step, they crossed the gap. The moment their feet reached the final stone, the door ahead glowed brighter. Energy pulsed around them, as if the chamber recognized their success. Humans had passed the trial not through strength alone, but through courage, observation, teamwork, and adaptability. Ryan exhaled, feeling a surge of pride. The chamber tested every human skill, and we succeeded. Mara smiled. I have never seen a challenge like this. It feels like the chamber respects our persistence. The door ahead began to open slowly. Beyond it, a large hall was bathed in golden light. The heat was warm but safe. At the center, a massive source of energy glowed, casting shadows across intricate carvings on the walls. The Emperor's chamber of eternal fire awaited them. Ryan and Mara stepped forward, taking in the sight. The chamber radiated knowledge and power. Humans had faced the elements of Pyros, the Guardian, the alien obstacle, and now the trial of eternal fire. Each challenge had proven one thing: humans could adapt, think, and persevere. Mara looked at Ryan. We did it. The chamber is ours to explore. Ryan nodded. Humans had always been explorers, problem solvers, and survivors. This chamber represented the culmination of their qualities. Knowledge, courage, and creativity were human strengths that no challenge could fully overcome. They moved deeper into the hall, approaching the glowing source. Energy radiated from it, illuminating carvings that depicted civilizations across galaxies. The chamber held not just power, but the legacy of those who had created it. Humans had earned the right to witness it. Ryan reached out to touch the glowing source. Warmth spread through his hands, but it was not harmful. Instead, it felt like understanding. Humans had been tested, and they had passed every trial. Courage, intelligence, teamwork, and perseverance had guided them. Mara followed, her eyes wide with awe. It is incredible. The chamber is beyond anything I imagined. Ryan smiled. Humans had proven themselves on Pyros. They had survived extreme heat, outsmarted the Guardian, avoided aliens, and navigated a deadly trial of fire. Each step had required courage, observation, and trust. Now, standing at the heart of the Emperor's chamber of eternal fire, they understood the reward for human persistence and ingenuity. Ryan whispered, "Humans have reached the heart of the chamber. We faced the trial of eternal fire and succeeded because we never gave up." Mara nodded. Humans can overcome anything if we stay smart, brave, and united. They took a moment to absorb the energy and knowledge around them. The chamber pulsed like a living entity, recognizing the worth of the humans before it. Ryan and Mara had proven that humans could thrive where others would fail, that adaptability, courage, and intelligence were their greatest tools. With determination, they prepared to explore further, knowing that humans had reached a milestone few could achieve. The Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire had tested them fully, and humans had shown that they were ready for any challenge the universe could present. Ryan and Mara stood at the center of the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire. Golden light flowed around them, reflecting off the walls covered with carvings that depicted ancient civilizations, stars, and energy streams. The source of the chamber's power pulsed gently, as if alive. Every heartbeat of energy seemed to communicate knowledge and wisdom. Mara reached out, letting her hand hover above the glowing core. "It feels like it is alive," she whispered. "It is more than energy. It is understanding." Ryan nodded. Humans had reached the chamber because they had courage, intelligence, and patience. Each trial on Pyros had tested their limits, and they had overcome every obstacle. The chamber itself seemed to acknowledge their success, offering knowledge to those who could appreciate it. They began to explore the carvings along the walls. Each image told a story: civilizations rising and falling, stars being born and fading, and beings learning from fire and energy. Ryan realized that the chamber was not just a source of power. It was a record of achievement, a library of lessons from the universe's greatest civilizations. "This is incredible," Mara said. "It is not just energy. It is wisdom from the past. Whoever built this wanted knowledge to be preserved and shared with those who are worthy." Ryan smiled. Humans were explorers and learners. They could understand the value of knowledge, and they were willing to face danger to acquire it. The chamber had tested them to see if they were ready, and they had proven themselves. As they moved closer to the glowing core, the energy seemed to respond to their presence. Patterns of light formed in the air, showing images of great discoveries and inventions. Ryan and Mara watched in awe. The chamber was teaching them, sharing lessons through the flow of fire and light. Humans had a unique ability to interpret these lessons, to connect ideas, and to learn quickly. Mara pointed to a pattern that resembled a map of stars. "These are pathways," she said. "It looks like the chamber is showing how energy moves across galaxies." Ryan studied it carefully. "Humans can take this knowledge and use it responsibly. We can learn from it, explore further, and help our civilization advance without harm." The core pulsed brighter, and Ryan felt a warmth spread through him. It was not just physical heat. It was understanding, clarity, and a sense of purpose. Humans had been tested in courage, intelligence, teamwork, and endurance. Now, they were being rewarded with wisdom that could guide them for generations. Mara touched another part of the chamber. Symbols floated above the walls, forming equations and designs that represented advanced technology and sustainable energy. Ryan realized that the chamber was offering more than stories. It was offering tools to improve life, to harness energy, and to create without destruction. Humans had the capacity to understand and use these gifts wisely. "This is more than I ever imagined," Mara said. "We can take this knowledge home and make a difference." Ryan nodded. Humans are capable of learning and applying what they discover. We survive, adapt, and innovate. That is why we can face challenges like Pyros and succeed. As they explored further, they noticed an area of the chamber that seemed like a recording of civilizations that had visited before. Some had failed, and their marks faded into shadows. Others had succeeded, and their knowledge glowed brightly. Ryan realized that the chamber separated the worthy from the unprepared. Humans had proven themselves, and their presence was now recorded as a legacy for future generations. Mara looked at Ryan with awe. "Humans have made it through everything Pyros threw at us, and now we are part of this history. We are worthy of the knowledge here." Ryan smiled. "Humans have always explored the unknown. We learn from mistakes, we adapt, and we use our minds to overcome danger. That is why we are still here, standing in the chamber." They spent hours studying the carvings and the patterns of energy. The chamber did not just offer information, it offered insight. Ryan realized that humans had a natural curiosity and determination that allowed them to absorb lessons quickly. No alien race had faced Pyros challenges as humans did. Humans were resilient, clever, and resourceful. As they moved to the center of the chamber, the glowing core expanded slightly, sending waves of golden energy across the room. Ryan felt clarity and vision. He understood that humans were not just survivors, they were thinkers, creators, and explorers. The Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire had tested them and now recognized their potential. Mara looked around. It feels like the chamber is asking us to choose how we will use this knowledge. Ryan nodded. We can take it back to our people. Humans have proven they can use power wisely when combined with intelligence and courage. This is not just energy, it is a responsibility. They approached the core together, hands hovering just above it. The energy responded, forming images of distant planets, star systems, and civilizations that could benefit from human exploration. Humans had a gift: they could understand, act wisely, and innovate for the greater good. The chamber had recognized these qualities. Ryan whispered, "The chamber is showing us our legacy. Humans have the strength, mind, and courage to create a better future. We must use this knowledge carefully." Mara nodded, feeling a sense of purpose. Humans had faced impossible odds on Pyros. They had survived lava rivers, guardians, alien pursuers, and the trial of eternal fire. Now, they had reached the reward. The chamber had tested them fully, and humans had proven themselves worthy. Ryan turned to Mara. "This is why humans explore. We face danger not just for survival, but to grow, to learn, and to achieve what others cannot. Pyros tested us, and we succeeded." Mara smiled. "Then let's take this knowledge back and make it count." Humans are ready. They spent the remaining time in the chamber absorbing as much as they could. The energy, knowledge, and history flowed around them, imparting lessons that would guide human civilization for generations. Every trial on Pyros had prepared them for this moment. Humans had proven that courage, intelligence, adaptability, and teamwork could overcome any obstacle. As they prepared to leave, Ryan looked at the glowing core one last time. The Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire is more than a test. It is a gift to those who are worthy. Humans have earned it, and our journey is just beginning. Mara nodded. Humans will take this knowledge and use it wisely. We have proven ourselves to the chamber, to Pyros, and to the universe. With that, they turned and walked toward the exit. The golden light of the chamber illuminated their path. Humans had faced Pyros, the Guardian, the aliens, and the trial of eternal fire. They had succeeded in every challenge. Now, they carried the legacy of the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire with them, a symbol of human courage, intelligence, and resilience. As they stepped back into the fiery plains of Pyros, Ryan felt a deep sense of pride. Humans had achieved what no other species could. They had faced the impossible and emerged stronger. The universe had many more challenges ahead, but humans were ready. The chamber's light faded behind them, but its lessons remained. Ryan and Mara knew that humans were not just survivors, they were explorers, innovators, and guardians of knowledge. Pyros had tested them, and they had proven that humans could rise to any challenge, leaving a legacy that would inspire generations to come. Humans had reached the Emperor's Chamber of Eternal Fire, and they had emerged victorious.